Now for a closer look at Indonesia's government debt for the moment, Katrina Nichols joins me from our Singapore newsroom. Katrina, what do these credit default swaps on a country's debt measure? What is it about?
Well, basically, Haslinda, they're a form of protection that investors can buy to speculate on whether they think a government or a company's debt, for that matter, are going to be able to be repaid, or the government is going to default on its debt. They're sort of the best way to think of it is like a sort of insurance premium. If you've got a house that's built of wood in the forest and it's a fire risk, then of course insurance premiums are going to be more expensive for that sort of property. But you know, if it's not a fire hazard, then insurance premiums are going to be less. So it's exactly the same concept.
Interesting way of looking at it. If you take a look at the graph that we're showing right now, credit default swaps for Indonesia have been falling. What's behind that?
Well, basically what that's telling us is that investors think that the Indonesian government is less likely to default on its debt. Now, why is that? There are a few reasons. Essentially, Indonesia's economy is growing quite strongly at the moment. Economists expect it to grow at about 4.3%. Now, that's certainly a lot better than some of its neighbours, like Thailand, which is actually heading negative growth. And also, investors are factoring in a return to power of President Yudhoyono. And, of course, one of the big promises, the central promises of his government, has been a lot of spending on infrastructure, power plants, things that will basically further stimulate the economy.
Just to put it in context, Katrina, I mean, how does it fare if you juxtapose it against the world?
Well, essentially now it means that Indonesia is out of the top 10 riskiest countries when it comes to governments that might default on their debt. It's actually now up at number 17. So it's above countries like Kazakhstan and also Dubai and Iceland. Obviously, the banks there have had a lot of problems and the government has had to deal with that. And just to give you an idea, some of the countries that are considered least likely to default on their debt, up right at the top you've got countries like Norway and Finland and Germany.
Katrina Nichols, thank you so much for that.